You must watch this top 1% hot lap if you want to gain time around the Japanese Grand Prix circuit. Let's go on board with Rouleton to see how it's done. Open up the final corner by bringing the car to the left of the circuit to get the best possible run down the start-finish straight and open DRS. The first corner will be extremely high speed. Turn in just before the grey patch appears on your left whilst holding full throttle. Aim for the inside without riding it and only start braking just after you leave the curb or as soon as you pass the grass patch on your left. Shift down the gears for engine braking. Use 50 to 60% braking force to avoid locking up as you must turn and brake at the same time, allowing the car to wash wide up to the outside curb, then start turning into turn 2 immediately as if it's part of the same corner. Fifth gear now and releasing the brakes fully just before, by the time you reach the start of the inside curb, immediately on the power, getting as close as you dare to the inside, trying to keep the minimum speed as high as possible to work with the downforce, increasing traction. As you exit the corner, open up the steering and use all of the track without invalidating the lap. Bring the car far to the outside on entry and turn in just before the Armco barriers to the right of your screen, or even as you feel, as long as you reach the inside curb to be able to ride it hard without touching the grass, just before the green patch arrives at the middle of the apex, staying in 6th gear, all whilst holding the pedal down. Alternatively, if you're running slightly lower downforce, you can lift lightly when riding the curb to avoid instability. Now you've come away from the curb, have the car positioned to the left of the circuit when you start turning into turn 4, about when you see the multicolour barrier on your left. Now lifting off the throttle quickly if you haven't before, dabbing the brakes, maintaining 6th gear and taking an almost late apex as you want to ride the curb hard until it ends for rotation. Once again without touching the grass and back on the power as you leave the curb, reaching 100% shortly after. The car naturally pulls to the inside, so do your best to be in the centre of the circuit when you approach the next corner, turning in as soon as the exit curb on the left disappears, and lifting a small amount as you take the early apex, using the curb a little bit if you dare for rotation as before. Maximum power when you start to peel away from the inside, again using the inside line on exit, and turn in just before the inside curb or when the wall on the inside disappears. Brake with 20% force and down to 5th gear once you pass the start of the inside curb, immediately getting back on the power whilst following the contour of the track without riding the curb this time, then up to 100% throttle by the time you leave it. Use all of the track on exit, bring the car to the right of centre to open up turn 7, immediately turning left as you pass the exit curb, 6th gear, following an early apex, getting close to the inside whilst flat out and work with the car as it washes wide, only putting as much as your right wheels on the red and white curb or else you'll risk bottoming out and ruining your lap. Alternatively, you can hold the car further left to avoid this, but it may cost you lap time. Minimise track distance by staying left, going all the way up to the white line to maximise track usage. Don't shift up to 8. Turn in at the 50-metre board with a slight lift just before the inside curb, holding 7th gear, then riding the inside curb at full send with the middle of the car in the centre of the red and white curb. By this time, back to 100% throttle, allow the tyres to ride the red and white curb on exit and braking hard just before it ends and then turning in just after it ends. Try to avoid the grass on the left only if you can. 4th gear, off the brakes at the apex of the corner, applying the gas and aim to position the left-hand side tyres on the AstroTurf at most, but no more or else you'll bottom out and lose the car. Down a short straight, then follow the turn 10 curb to open up 11, maximum braking force shortly after you pass it, turn into the corner as the white line straightens up, looking for an early apex, and down to 3rd gear, only off the brakes just after the apex of the corner in order to get the car slowed down, but quickly back on the power to rotate the car through the turn, then aim for the outside curb to allow the steering to open up. Hold the car tight to the right to minimise track distance as you travel through turn 12, keeping it tidy without touching the grass. Brake and turn in at the same time just after you pass the 50-metre board, only reaching full braking force for a moment as you quickly bleed off, taking a late apex, mounting the red and white curb, off the brakes and 6th gear, already on the power before you leave the curb, using the traction available to put your foot to the floor. Riding the outside red and white curb where the centre of the car should be over it and immediately lifting slightly, then turn in just before the curb ends, down to 5th at the same time as braking, only using 50% brake force to prevent locking up in these high-speed turns. Just before you get to the very inside of the circuit, back on the power, but don't touch the inside curb to maintain stability. Open up the steering, looking to use all of the track on exit to allow you to get to full throttle as early as possible, focusing on your exit as you travel up the incredibly long backstretch. Subscribe to the channel while you wait for turn 15 to arrive, fully flat out, using the inside curb to minimise track distance. Allow the car to drift slightly to the centre of the track, but then bringing the car back to the left to prepare for the Casio Triangle chicane. Brake at 120 metres at full force and turn in as the second tarmac patch appears on your right, now starting to release the brakes too in order to avoid locking up the rear tyres. Off the brakes before the inside curb, 3rd or 4th gear, then either place the car central over the red and white section, or if you're confident enough, fully cut the corner without exceeding track limits and back on the power as you leave it. Then turning left once you're in the middle of the circuit, down to 3rd gear if you aren't already, lifting off the pedal too without using the brakes, riding the red and white inside curb once more for rotation, and start applying the throttle for the final time as you leave it, and use the last exit curb to maximise track usage without touching the grass. Hold the car to the right hand side to minimize track distance, DRS and across the line to set a 1 minute 25.965, and that's how you get into the top 1% of drivers in the world. The setup for this video is on screen now, and if you want to tailor this for the race situation, increase the front and rear wing a few clicks to improve cornering and consistency, increase the off differential to be more stable over long distances, leave the suspension geometry as it is to improve lap time, stiffen the front suspension for more performance but soften the rear suspension and anti-roll bar slightly for a more stable car, then leave the ride height to maximize lap time. Leave the brake pressure as it is but increase the brake bias to help with stability and tyre wear. With the tyres, bring the pressures all the way to the minimum and then keep increasing the pressures whilst you practice to make sure that you find your perfect window for the tyre temperatures. The pressures on your screen could also be a good starting point, however. Make sure you subscribe for our next hot lap, like the video if you've improved, comment below how much you've improved by. Thank you very much to Ruleton for completing this hot lap for us. Good luck and let's race.